Hey, welcome to Offshore Audio. I'm Andrew, I'm a live sound engineer, and this is the channel where I'm helping you to mix better live events. A lot of people have asked me how I run a sound check. So in this video, I just wanted to take you quickly through the sort of process, workflow, what I'm thinking about when I'm doing a sound check and the order that I do everything in. So here I am again, I'm in a different outfit. That's right, I recorded this video on 2 different days. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to connect all of the speakers together, right? We're going to make sure that everything is connected up in our system because there's no point in proceeding with trying to sound check anything if all the equipment is not connected together. That means getting your wedges in place, making sure that your tops and subs are all connected together. Everything has a cable running to it, and if it's active, it has power. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to test all of the PA. That means we're going to send some pink noise from the mixer out of every single one of the speakers. We're going to send it out the left, we're going to send it out the right, we're going to send it out the subs if we've got them on different sends, and we're going to test every single one of our monitor speakers because we need to make sure that absolutely every part of this system is working correctly before we carry out our sound check. If we don't get the system working correctly, then you might be chasing a problem further down the line that turns out to be a system problem. Your vocalist keeps asking you for more and more vocal in their wedge. It turns out the wedge is not connected at all. That happened like 2 weeks ago. Not to me, but at a show I was working on. Once we have connected up the system and established that it's all routed correctly and everything is working, we're going to tune the PA system. I've got a whole video on how I'm tuning PA systems nowadays, but basically I'm using smart and I'm pushing noise through the system and then getting an EQ curve balanced out so it sounds nice there. Since this involves EQ, it's a perfect time for you to grab my free guide, which is 3 steps to perfect EQ. This is a PDF guide that you can take with you or sneak on your phone, have a little look at it at a show, and it's going to establish my sort of 3 guiding principles, how I use EQ on anything, any sound source, whether that is input channels or a full PA. Get that at offshoreaudio.no/EQ or at the link in the description below this video. The next thing I do is I'm going to ring out the monitors. I'm going to grab the vocal mic that I'm going to be using and I'm going to start speaking into it and listening to the monitors, applying EQ to make them sound nice and reduce the potential for feedback. Don't chase anything too hard. You can only really get 3 to 6 decibels of extra gain out of a monitor or any speaker with EQ anyway. All of our hardware is working now, so that's great. Let's start setting up a talkback so that we can communicate with the band. I'll grab a microphone, I'll plug it into the mixer, and I will send that to all of the wedges on the stage. Communication's great, isn't it? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my effects and get them ready for the gig. So I'll get that same talkback mic and I'm going to send it out of the main PA speakers. Then I'm going to go and send that to my reverbs and delays that I've set up, and I'm going to fine tune those to get them sounding how I want in the system before I start thinking about any band work. Next step after that is to just look at the rider for the band that's coming, get all of the equipment that you need ready, that's all your DI boxes, get your mic stands out, get the microphones on stands and get any cables that you think you need. Start getting stuff in place if you can. Don't get too crazy before the band gets there, and when the band gets there, try and get all their gear on stage, and if you're on a small stage, I would recommend getting the band off stage for 10 minutes just so you can connect everything up, get all your microphones in place. It will take you so much longer if you're trying to get microphones underneath drum kits while the drummer is moving the drum kit around. So the next main section that we have to think about now is sorting out our front of house, right? How do we sound check front of house? Before you start the sound check, you want to save a scene that is ready to go with all the microphone channels you need and save that as sound check start. First thing that we do is a line check. That is going through every single channel on the board, getting the gain up to the correct level, getting it in the speakers so that you know that the signal is coming out nice and clear, and applying any sort of like basic first moves in EQ, compression, gating, that sort of thing. It's getting everything sort of roughly sounding how you think you might want it to sound in isolation before hearing everything together. Before you start checking the drum kit, turn your vocal microphones on, add some gain into them, turn them up in the system so that you've got two-way communication with the band. The first thing I do is I grab the kick drum, right? And I ask the drummer to play the kick drum. If the drummer is experienced, they will just hit that kick drum until you tell them to stop. If they're inexperienced, you might need to remind them to keep hitting the drum until you're finished. The important thing here is to not get rushed. Don't let the drummer push you further into the sound check than you are feeling personally. By that I mean, don't move on before you're happy with the sound source. Keep asking for the kick drum and apply a little bit of EQ, apply a little bit of compression if you need it. That's what I tend to do. And usually I go for a gate as well to make sure that there is no feedback building up in that kick drum. And then I move through every other microphone on the drum kit. I'll take the snare, same thing, EQ, compression, gate, and then I'll usually add reverb to that snare as well. Move through the toms, hats, overheads, that kind of thing. Get the whole drum kit played as a whole, balance it really quickly, say thank you, move on. This is when you want to check for any things like channel linking. If you have a stereo channel, for example, overheads on the drums, make sure that that is linked. Make sure that the gains are set correctly to both be the same. Make sure that when you turn that up, they are panned left and right, that you are getting the left sound in the left speaker, the right sound in the right speaker. And of course, finally, just make sure that the level that you're getting out of the system is enough for your show. Once you've done that instrument, you can leave it. You move on to the bass, for example, and then you do the exact same thing. Do you have a DI and microphone? Ask the bassist to play and slowly just gain up the DI channel, bring it into the system, do the EQ, do the compression, get it sounding nice, bring in the microphone channel, gain it up, bring it up in the system, make sure that they're blending nicely. If you have two microphones on something or two sort of renditions of the same sound source, that is a snare over and under mic, or two kick drum mics, or a mic and a DI on the bass, make sure to check the polarity of the signals. Click the polarity invert button on the mixer, sometimes called the phase invert button, and that will flip the sound 180 degrees in sort of its wave. Sometimes this can give you more of the sort of richness and bottom end in a signal. Another way of saying that is sometimes they're out of phase and you need to click this button to fix it. So always check that. Don't give anyone any monitors yet. At least that's how I do it. I like to get all of my lines checked before I start introducing monitors into it. Different people do it different ways. Do what works for you. Watch out for guitarists with pedals and things that might have different gain levels. Also watch out for acoustic guitars or keys players with multiple keys that they're playing. Make sure that you check every single line in the system. Once you've checked everything and you have everything live and you know that the sound is good, there's no buzzing, there's no nasty sounds in the system, it's time to move on to monitors. So I have a particular strategy for mixing monitors that works for me, and that is I divide everything up into quiet sources and loud sources, right? So quiet sources are things on the stage that have basically no volume, that don't contribute to how I hear things at front of house, and they don't contribute to how other musicians hear things on the stage. This could be acoustic guitars, keys with no amplifiers, samplers, stringed instruments like violins, they're quite quiet. And then on the flip side, there are loud things, right? Like drum kits. Doesn't matter where you are in the venue, you hear a drum kit. Even if it's a stadium, you hear that drum kit. It's also bass guitars with amplifiers, saxophones are really loud, trumpets are really loud. A keys player, if they have an amplifier, guitar players, of course. What I will usually do is I will start off by adding the quiet sources into people's monitors. That is the vocals into the vocalist's monitors. That is the keys into the keys player's monitor. And that is the strings into the strings player's monitor, so that they can hear themselves play. But my objective in the beginning, if we're on wedges anyway, that is stage monitors, speakers on the stage, as opposed to in-ear monitors, my strategy is to keep the stage volume as low as possible. So I am trying to minimize what I'm putting in those wedges. That's why we start with just the quiet stuff. And the loud stuff, we're going to let the amplifiers do the talking for now. After that, I encourage the band to play a song, right? I want them to play maybe one whole song. When they play this song, I'm going to be thinking about the front of house mix. I'm going to be balancing all of the channels and I'm going to be adjusting any sort of EQ or compression settings that I think needs to happen. But I will also have an eye on the band and I will be looking for anyone pointing or indicating otherwise that they need something in their monitor. Once they're done that song, you need to take control. Everyone is going to want changes and they're all going to want it at the same time. And you need to methodically step through the band. Start stage right and say, guitarist, what do you need to hear more of? And then the guitarist says, I need to hear more saxophone, bass, more of the lead vocals. And you sort that out in their wedge. You then move over to the next person over, maybe that's lead vocals. Lead vocals, what do you need to hear? I need more of myself. I need more of the lead guitar. I need more of the keys. Great, then you sort them out. And you step through every band member methodically, and don't let them chime in, don't let them try and strong arm you into, oh, I'm sticking my hand up, I need my monitor sorted now. Everyone gets their turn and you go through them methodically. Another thing to look out for is the sort of classic, can I just get a little bit of everything? Because no one needs a little bit of everything. And that's what people tend to say. But you need to challenge them on that and ask them, do you need snare? Do you need hi-hats? Do you need overheads? Do you need the synth? And more often than not, they'll go, no, I don't need that. No, I don't need that. And then you'll get to, yeah, I need my guitar, not the other person's guitar. So you need to guide the musicians into a sort of effective monitor mix, because it's your role to keep that stage volume low. High stage volume makes it hard for other people to hear, it affects the front of house mix, and it increases the likelihood of feedback. Keep it low. Go for another song, fine tune front of house while they're playing, keep an eye on them. When they finish, go around everyone again and repeat the process until they're happy. Just be friendly, be accommodating, make the adjustments that people need, and tell people the adjustments that you're making. Last thing to think about here is in-ear monitors, right? Because the game is slightly different when you don't have active wedges on stage. People on in-ear monitors need a full mix. When they say a little bit of everything, they really mean a little bit of everything. They need to be able to hear the hi-hats and the overheads and all the other microphones on the stage. So what you might want to do is put some headphones on and build yourself a rough mix for in-ear monitors so that you can hear the whole band, give or take. And then give everyone that mix as a starting point. And then return to this sort of strategy of play a song, play half a song, and let me know what you need in your ears. Again, keep control, ask everyone, what do you need? A strategy here though is when someone says, oh, I need more lead guitar, say, hands up if you need more lead guitar. Everyone who puts their hands up, they get more lead guitar. Tell them to put their hand down when they have enough lead guitar. That allows you to move through all of the requests systematically and make sure that everyone is happy, but you also don't need to go through every single instrument saying, do you need more kick? Hold your hand up. Do you need more snare? Hold your hand up. Because if you've got 30 input channels, that's going to take forever. Once you're done, mute all your channels, save the scene under the band's name, save a backup in case there's another engineer and they save over it by mistake. If you have another band, load the soundcheck start scene again, repeat the process. If you don't have another band, go away and chill. And when you come back, make sure that you load your show file. Even if there's no one else playing the gig, load that show file because who knows what happens. All right, I hope that was helpful. If it was, then leave a comment down below. Let me know if you soundcheck in a different way. And I'll leave some videos around here to help with setting up and getting sound checks. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.